The Desperate Alliance. The Galactic Unity Council had existed for 17,000 cycles, bringing together the most advanced civilizations across 3 spiral arms of the Milky Way. We had achieved what many believed impossible: lasting peace through technological enlightenment, until the Void Collective arrived. They emerged from the dark space between galaxies, entities of pure energy that consumed matter to expand their consciousness. Not truly alive by our definition, yet possessing intelligence far beyond our comprehension. Their arrival was silent. Planets simply went dark, their biospheres converted to energy. Their populations, gone. I am Silana, senior diplomat of the Meridian Ecumene and current chairbeing of the Unity Council. Today, as I stand before the emergency assembly of all 37 member species, I can see something I never thought possible: fear in the eyes of the galaxy's most enlightened beings. The Void Collective has consumed the Orion Spur entirely. I announce, my 4 arms gesturing to the holographic display, showing the spreading darkness across our galaxy. 17 civilizations, gone. The defensive line at Centaurus has fallen. Our most advanced weaponry merely passes through them. Our shields cannot block what we cannot understand. Elder Zereth of the crystalline Voshan rises, light fragmenting through their faceted body. Then we face extinction. Our combined knowledge, spanning millions of years, has failed us. The chamber falls silent. In our long history, the Council has overcome plagues, resource wars, and even the occasional short-sighted civilization attempting conquest. But never this: an enemy we cannot communicate with, cannot understand, cannot fight. Then, unexpectedly, Kathala of the gaseous Mithiri speaks. The Mithiri rarely participate in council discussions, preferring to observe. Their voice is little more than a whisper of wind. There is one species we have not consulted. The mention needs no elaboration. Every being in the chamber knows exactly which species Kathala means. A collective shudder passes through the assembly. The humans are quarantined for good reason, hisses Delegate Voss of the Serpenthy Dominion. Need I remind the Council why? Indeed, no reminder was necessary. Humanity's brief appearance on the galactic stage 3 centuries ago had been catastrophic. While technologically inferior to most Council races, humans possessed a unique combination of traits found nowhere else: relentless innovation coupled with alarming aggression, tribal loyalty alongside ruthless competition, and most disturbingly, an ability to adapt and overcome adversity with terrifying speed. When the Draxian Empire attempted to conquer Earth, thinking the primitive humans would make easy subjects, humanity didn't just defeat them. They reverse-engineered Draxian technology, improved upon it, and launched a counter-invasion that nearly destroyed the 1,000-year empire in less than a decade. The Council had no choice but to intervene, establishing a quarantine barrier around Sol system, containing the humans within their home system. The quarantine stands as our wisest decision. Continues Voss. Humans are unpredictable, violent, and expansionist. They are everything we have evolved beyond. And yet, says Kathala, their gaseous form pulsing, they are also everything the Void Collective is not. Where the collective is unified and methodical, humans are chaotic and unpredictable. Where the collective consumes, humans create, often violently, yes, but they create nonetheless. I felt the weight of history on my shoulders. As chairbang, the final decision would be mine. Projections. I ask our quantum intelligence. The holographic AI materializes at the center of the chamber. At current consumption rates, the Void Collective will reach this Council's core worlds within 78 days. Complete extinction of all known intelligent life in the galaxy will occur within 3 years. And if we enlist the humans, the quantum intelligence pauses, its algorithms visibly struggling. Unknown. Human behavior remains the most difficult variable to predict in all our models. However, introducing such chaos into the equation creates a 17.3% probability of survival, up from our current 0.002%. I make my decision. Prepare a diplomatic vessel. I will go personally to Sol. The journey to Earth takes 12 days, even with our most advanced drive systems. The quarantine barrier is designed to keep humans in, not others out, though few have bothered visiting in centuries. As we approach the barrier, I'm struck by what our long-range sensors detect. The humans have been busy. Their system teems with activity, orbital habitats around every planet, mining operations throughout their asteroid belt, and most concerning, what appear to be military installations everywhere. They've been preparing for war, observes my aide, Telex. But against whom? They've been isolated. Against us, most likely, I reply. Humans never accepted the quarantine as permanent. Our transmission to Earth's unified government is met with immediate response. Their leader, High Chancellor Maya Ortega, agrees to meet, but insists on doing so aboard our vessel rather than inviting aliens to Earth, a security precaution that speaks volumes about human paranoia. When Chancellor Ortega boards with her delegation, I'm struck by how ordinary humans appear. Bipedal, symmetrical, smaller than many council species. Yet something in their eyes, those strangely expressive organs, reveals an intensity I find unsettling. 300 years, says Ortega without preamble. 3 centuries you've kept us caged in our own system, denied us the stars that are our birthright. And now you come asking for help. I explain the situation, showing them the same data presented to the council. The humans ask questions, incisive, practical questions about the Void Collective's composition, behavior patterns, vulnerabilities, anything that might be exploited. So let me understand, says Admiral Chen, their military commander. These entities are basically energy beings that convert matter to energy. They operate as a hive mind. They're impervious to your weapons, and they've already consumed a fifth of the galaxy. That is correct. Chen exchanges glances with Ortega, and to my surprise, both humans smile, a facial expression I know indicates pleasure, but in this context seems utterly inappropriate. Chancellor, I say carefully, I sense you find something about this situation amusing. Not amusing, Ambassador Ixilana. Familiar. Ortega leans forward. Humanity has always faced extinction-level threats, from our own nuclear weapons to climate collapse to resource depletion. Each time, we adapted and survived. It's what we do best. Admiral Chen nods. Your species evolved toward harmony and cooperation. Admirable, but it makes you vulnerable to threats outside your experience. We evolved as predators and prey simultaneously. We've never stopped fighting. Sometimes each other, sometimes nature itself. You need us, Ortega says flatly. And we want out of this cage. Those are our terms. The Council will never agree to fully lift the quarantine, I respond. Then we all die together. Ortega rises to leave. Good luck with your extinction. Wait, I say, knowing I'm exceeding my authority, but seeing no alternative. What if we offer a compromise? The quarantine remains, but we establish designated trade routes, cultural exchanges, limited colonization rights in uninhabited systems. Ortega considers this. We want more, but it's a start. We'll help you defeat the Void Collective, but understand this. Once humanity is involved in galactic affairs again, there's no going back. We won't be sidelined a second time. As I watch the humans discuss strategy, I realize we are making a deal with a force nearly as dangerous as the Void Collective itself. But as the saying goes in many council languages, when facing the abyss, one doesn't question the rope's materials. The preparations begin immediately. Human scientists, engineers, and military strategists pore over our data. They work at an astonishing pace, sleeping minimally, consuming stimulants, arguing passionately, behavior that would be considered deeply unhealthy and antisocial among council species. Within days, they've formulated theories about the Void Collective that our scientists hadn't considered in months of study. They suggest the entities might be vulnerable to quantum entanglement disruption, essentially confusing the hive mind by introducing randomized patterns into its communication network. "We don't need to destroy them all," explains Dr. Lakshmi Patel, their lead physicist. "We just need to disrupt their coordination enough to make them retreat." The humans begin retrofitting their warships, vessels built for a war that never came, with modified versions of our technology. They call their flagship the Prometheus, after an ancient myth about stealing fire from gods. As our unlikely alliance prepares for what might be the final battle for galactic survival, I can't help but wonder, if we survive the Void Collective, what will we do about the humans afterward? Have we merely traded one existential threat for another? Only time will tell. For now, humanity's boundless determination offers something we had lost: hope. Humanity unleashed. The combined fleet assembled at Rigel, the last major star system before Void Collective territory. 300 council vessels, the finest examples of our elegant, efficient technology, alongside 70 human warships. The contrast couldn't be more striking. Where our ships were sleek and graceful, human vessels were angular, bristling with weapons, resembling predatory creatures from their homeworld. "They're primitive," murmured Telex as we observed from the command deck of our diplomatic vessel. "Their ships are heavily armored because their shield technology is inferior." "Inefficient." "Perhaps," I replied. "But they built those ships while confined to a single system, using primarily their own technology. That speaks to remarkable resourcefulness." Admiral Chen had been granted operational command, a controversial decision that nearly collapsed our alliance before it began. Many council species refused to take orders from humans. The compromise was a joint command structure, with Chen providing strategic direction while council captains maintained tactical control of their own vessels. The battle plan was audacious. Instead of a defensive posture, the council's preferred approach, Chen proposed a direct strike at what human analysts identified as the collective's coordination nexus, a dense region of space where energy patterns suggested centralized activity. "The Void Collective operates as a unified consciousness," Chen explained during the final briefing. "But even distributed systems need coordination. We hit them where it hurts, create confusion, then exploit the chaos." The plan relied heavily on human-designed quantum disruptors, devices cobbled together from council technology and human theoretical physics. These had never been tested against the collective. We were placing the fate of galactic civilization on human intuition. As the fleet prepared to depart, Chancellor Ortega transmitted a message that was broadcast to all vessels. "Today, we fight not just for humanity's freedom, but for all sentient life. The Council once feared us enough to cage us. Now they'll see why." The journey to the target coordinates took 3 days. 3 days of mounting tension, as sensors detected the approaching emptiness that marked the collective's presence. 3 days for doubt to gnaw at Council commanders, while the humans displayed an eerie calm, what they called being in the zone. When we arrived, the Void Collective was waiting. They manifested as shimmering distortions in space, nearly invisible but detectable by the absence of starlight behind them. Thousands of energy constructs, each capable of absorbing an entire planet's biomass. Our sensors registered their mass shifting constantly, communicating in patterns we couldn't decipher. "All vessels, deploy quantum disruptors according to pattern Alpha," Chen ordered. "Defensive formation Delta. Remember, we're not trying to destroy them all. Just create enough interference to locate and target their coordination nexus." The battle began with precision. Council vessels executed their maneuvers flawlessly, deploying the disruptors at calculated intervals. For a moment, it seemed to work. The collective's formations wavered, their coordinated movements becoming erratic. Then everything went wrong. The collective adapted, faster than our models predicted. They began absorbing the disruptors themselves. Worse, they seemed to learn from the technology, incorporating its principles into their attack patterns. 3 council vessels simply vanished, converted to energy in seconds. "Pull back. Regroup at coordinates." The Council Admiral's transmission cut off as his flagship disappeared. Panic spread through the fleet. Council vessels began breaking formation, retreating in disarray. Centuries of peace had not prepared us for the chaos of battle against an incomprehensible enemy. Then the humans did something unexpected. Instead of retreating, their vessels accelerated toward the collective. Admiral Chen's voice came through comms, impossibly calm. Prometheus to all human vessels. Execute Operation Wildfire. The human ships began firing missiles, primitive projectile weapons we had dismissed as ineffective. But these weren't ordinary missiles. As they detonated within the collective's energy fields, they released clouds of specialized nanites, microscopic machines designed to replicate using the collective's own energy signature as fuel. "What are you doing?" I demanded, hailing the Prometheus. "Those won't harm them." "We're not trying to harm them," Chen replied. "We're giving them indigestion." The nanites began spreading through the collective like a technological infection, replicating faster than the entities could adapt. The collective's formations began pulsing erratically, energy signatures fluctuating wildly. "Now we've got their attention," said Chen. Phase 2. All vessels with quantum disruptors still operational, target these coordinates. A fraction of the remaining Council fleet followed the human vessels as they drove deeper into the collective's territory, toward what our sensors identified as the nexus of disturbance created by the nanites. The collective, suddenly defensive, began concentrating its energy to destroy the infection. That's when I understood the human strategy. They hadn't expected the disruptors to work permanently. They'd used them as a distraction, a way to observe how the collective responded. The nanites weren't the weapon. They were bait, forcing the collective to concentrate its consciousness in a way that made it vulnerable. "All vessels, maximum power to forward shields," ordered Chen. "Prepare to deploy quantum resonators on my mark." The resonators, yet another human innovation, were designed to create a feedback loop within the collective's now concentrated consciousness, essentially forcing it to experience the equivalent of sensory overload. What followed defied easy description. The collective's energy patterns contorted, rippling with discordant frequencies. Space itself seemed to warp around the nexus point. Several more ships, both human and Council, were lost in the energetic backlash. Then suddenly, the collective began to retreat. Not in panic, but in what appeared to be a strategic withdrawal, pulling back from the affected region, abandoning conquered territory. "Are they running away?" asked Telex in disbelief. "Not exactly," said Dr. Patel over the comms. "They're preserving their consciousness. We've made existence in this region of space too painful for them to maintain cohesion. They're retreating to regroup and adapt. The battle wasn't over, not by any means." The collective had withdrawn but not been destroyed. Yet for the first time since their appearance, they had been forced to retreat. A reprieve had been won through human ingenuity. Their willingness to think in ways Council species considered too chaotic, too risky. In the days that followed, as damaged ships limped back to friendly space and casualties were counted, the Council was forced to confront an uncomfortable truth. Without humans, we would have perished. Our perfect, harmonious civilization had reached an evolutionary dead end. We had optimized for peace so thoroughly that we had forgotten how to fight for survival. The humans, however, had never forgotten. "You know, this is just the beginning," Chancellor Ortega told the Emergency Council session 2 weeks later. "The collective will adapt to our tactics. They'll return, stronger and smarter." "What do you propose?" asked Elder Zareth. "A true alliance, not just access to a few trade routes or colony worlds. Full integration of human innovation with Council civilization. We need each other. You have the resources and established infrastructure. We have the mindset needed to survive what's coming." The debate was fierce, lasting several days. Many Council species remained deeply uncomfortable with human unpredictability. Others pointed out that the humans had saved us when they could have let us perish, then claimed the galaxy for themselves afterward. In the end, pragmatism prevailed. The quarantine was lifted with conditions. Humans would be granted gradual integration rights, beginning with joint military operations and scientific exchanges. A human representative, Chancellor Ortega herself, would join the Council. As the newly appointed liaison between humanity and the Council, I spend much of my time now on Earth, observing human culture firsthand. What I found has challenged my preconceptions. Yes, humans are aggressive and competitive, but they are also deeply empathetic, capable of self-sacrifice for strangers, and possess an irrepressible desire to improve their condition. Most importantly, they understand something the Council had forgotten. True civilization isn't about achieving perfect harmony. It's about balancing conflicting drives, the desire for peace with the necessity of defense, individual freedom with collective responsibility, tradition with innovation. The Void Collective will return. But when it does, it will face a galactic civilization strengthened by human determination and adaptability. We may have turned to humans out of desperation, but in doing so, we found not just allies but a mirror reflecting what we had lost in our pursuit of perfection. Sometimes, the most feared species turns out to be exactly what the galaxy needs.